Tonight, the battle over deportation. The president of El Salvador refusing to release a Maryland father sent to that notorious prison, despite the Supreme Court ordering the Trump administration to facilitate his return. The White House now arguing his deportation was not a mistake. Plus, another Columbia University student detained. Meanwhile, Harvard University rejecting the Trump administration's demands amid threats to cut funding. The man accused of torching the home of Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro arraigned the striking new images of the damage inside his home. Plus, what we're learning about the suspect's online behavior. Also, the man arrested at UnitedHealthcare's headquarters months after the CEO was killed. What we're learning. The mounting confusion over what's next in the president's trade war.
I'm a very flexible person. I don't change my mind, but I'm flexible.
Will smartphones and other electronics be exempt? The chopper company behind the fatal crash in the Hudson River closed as more questions arise about the safety of air tours. The FDA warning about a counterfeit version of the popular weight loss drug Ozempic, what you may need to check to stay safe. And the good news, we'll introduce you to the all-female star-studded crew that launched into space and the history books today.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. A key ally in the Trump administration's mass deportation plan today inserted himself in a growing legal standoff over the fate of a man the Justice Department has said was mistakenly deported from the United States. The president of El Salvador during a White House visit telling reporters he will not send the man back to the United States, saying he didn't have the power to return him. The case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia is testing the resolve of the U.S. Supreme Court, which ordered the administration to facilitate Garcia's return here. The White House balking as it clings to a narrow interpretation of that order. The White House says Garcia is a gang member, though he has not been criminally charged in either country. And now the administration is arguing his deportation was not a mistake after all. Gabe Gutierrez reports.
Today, President Trump welcoming the leader of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, to the Oval Office.
We have millions of people that should not be in this country.
President Bukele has taken in alleged gang members deported from the U.S. and posted videos of their arrivals at a notorious prison. Among them, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a father of three with a work permit in Maryland. A Justice Department prosecutor had said he was deported due to an administrative error. Bukele now says he won't send Abrego Garcia back.
How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
The White House now argues he was not mistakenly deported.
He's an illegal alien from El Salvador. Where was he sent? To El Salvador.
The Trump administration says Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13, a violent gang the White House has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. His family denies it, and he's never been charged criminally in the U.S. or El Salvador.
President Trump, bring Kilmar home now.
Late last week, the Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to facilitate his return to the U.S.
That's the order. The order is bring him back.
But the White House doesn't see it that way. It's interpreting facilitate to mean there's no need for the U.S. to initiate his return, only help if El Salvador decides to do so.
This is international matters, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
President Trump also says the Attorney General is looking into whether the law allows deporting U.S. citizens to El Salvador if they were violent.
I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals. I'm all for it because we can do things with the president for less money and have great security.
Meanwhile, another Columbia University student involved in anti-Israel campus protests has been arrested and detained, according to his lawyer. Mohsen Madawi is a lawful permanent resident, his attorney says, who was arrested at his naturalization interview in Vermont.
And Gabe, lawyers for that Columbia student are already fighting his detention.
Yes, Lester, and today a federal judge temporarily blocked the student's removal. The incident comes amid a widening crackdown on foreign students who've protested on campus and who the Trump administration has accused of supporting terrorists and anti-Semitism. Lester?
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. Tonight, Harvard University is rejecting demands from the federal government that it make sweeping changes to everything from admissions to leadership to governance, or risk losing $9 billion in federal funding. Stephanie Goss joins us now. Stephanie, what is the government actually demanding of Harvard?
They're asking Harvard to change its admissions, its hiring practices, and its academic programs. But tonight, Harvard says it is not going to do it. Posting on X, the university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. Neither Harvard nor any other private university can allow itself to be taken over by the federal government. The school received a letter sent by multiple federal agencies late Friday with a long list of demands. Among them, Harvard has to eliminate DEI programs on campus and hire an independent third party to address alleged anti-Semitism at the school and ensure there is viewpoint diversity on campus, or risk losing all that funding. The federal government accuses Harvard of not living up to its civil rights obligations, while Harvard calls these demands unconstitutional. Moments ago, the White House responded saying it will not use taxpayer dollars to fund what it calls Harvard's support of dangerous racial discrimination, Lester.
Okay, Stephanie, thank you. We turn now to Pennsylvania, where the suspect in the shocking arson attack at Governor Shapiro's residence appeared in court just moments ago. Here's Shaquille Brewster.
Tonight, the man who police say tried to kill Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro denied bail and facing charges including terrorism, attempted homicide, and arson. The fire chief crediting a set of closed doors for protecting Shapiro and his family.
If that door wasn't closed, the fire would have spread and would have definitely put the governor at even greater risk.
According to court documents, 38-year-old Cody Balmer, who admitted to harboring hatred toward Shapiro, walked for an hour early Sunday morning from his home to the governor's residence.
Police say surveillance video showed Balmer climbing over that outside fence wearing a black jacket, black boots with a small bag.
A police affidavit saying Balmer used a hammer to break multiple windows. Throwing a Molotov cocktail made from beer bottles into the governor's home, Balmer then entering the residence through a broken window, deploying another device inside the dining room. That's when police say Balmer kicked a door open to escape, climbing back over the fence and running away within minutes.
Imagine where that smoke staining is, fire licking out of those windows, going 15, 20, 30 feet into the air. Just a very angry fire.
Balmer turned himself in on Sunday, investigators saying he told them if he encountered the governor, he would have beaten him with his hammer. The suspect was previously charged with assault in a 2023 case that's still open. His mother telling the Associated Press she tried to get him assistance for mental health issues, but in today's hearing, Balmer denied suffering from mental illness. On social media, Balmer shared anti-government views, writing in one recent post, Biden supporters shouldn't exist. The FBI now assisting in the investigation as President Trump weighed in.
The attacker was not a fan of Trump. The attacker basically wasn't a fan of anybody. It's probably just a whack job. And certainly a thing like that cannot be allowed to happen.
Today, the governor, who hosted a Passover Seder just hours before the attack, again thanked first responders.
This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other. We have to be better than this.
Shaq, what more do we know about the security breach that took place?
Well, Lester, investigators say troopers who were stationed here knew that someone had breached the property. In fact, they were looking for him as the fire was being set. And while they don't know how long Balmer was here on the property, they say that it was just a matter of minutes that the entire attack went on. Lester?
Shaq Brewster tonight. Thank you. Turning now to a developing story out of Minnesota. Police say a person has been arrested just outside the UnitedHealthcare campus just months after UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot to death here in New York City. NBC's Rahema Ellis joins us now with the latest. Rahema, what are you finding out about this incident?
Well, Lester, police are telling NBC News tonight the man arrested is known to local law enforcement. The information is just coming in, but here's what we know so far. Police say the man was apprehended just outside UnitedHealthcare campus in Hopkins, Minnesota. They say he was booked on suspicion of threats. At this point, no word on whether there is a connection to UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson's murder back in December here in New York City. Luigi Mangione is charged with Thompson's murder. He has pleaded not guilty and is facing both state and federal charges. And tonight, Lester, authorities are continuing to investigate what happened in Minnesota earlier today.
Okay, Rahema, thank you. Now to the trade war, and amid growing uncertainty for businesses and shoppers, President Trump is now signaling he plans to impose new tariffs on pharmaceutical drugs and chips for electronics. Here's Kelly O'Donnell.
As markets and manufacturers brace for more turbulence, what looked like a reprieve from some tariffs is now being cast by the White House as a reclassification.
I don't want to hurt anybody, but the end result is we're going to get to the position of greatness for our country.
The White House had announced this weekend that consumer electronics, from smartphones to flat screens, as well as semiconductor components, would be exempt from reciprocal tariffs. But then officials said those goods would face a different category of tariffs under an authority linked to national security. Pressed about exemptions for cell phones, the president kept his options open.
Look, I'm a very flexible person. I don't change my mind, but I'm flexible.
Today, the White House says despite the appearance of whiplash, there is no mixed message.
I think that it all has been very carefully designed and makes a good deal of sense.
Shoppers, wary that tariffs could drive up prices, are weighing when to buy.
I would definitely do everything now. Anything that I would purchase right now would be a new phone, new television, mainly electronics.
I didn't really think I needed an upgrade. Again, with the uncertainty of these tariffs and the way the economy is moving, I'd rather just keep the $2,800 that I spent on the laptop.
With most toys produced in China facing the steepest of tariffs, some small business owners say swings in tariff policy are not child's play for their bottom line.
Uncertainty is not a way to run a business, and uncertainty certainly is not a way to run a government.
One rationale for these tariffs is to bring manufacturing back here. Today, the White House touted a move by tech company NVIDIA, which pledged to make its AI supercomputers inside the U.S. for the first time. Lester?
Kelly O'Donnell, thanks. Tonight, 12 million people are at risk for severe weather across the country, across the Ohio Valley and mid-Atlantic sections. Washington, D.C., Richmond, and Lexington, Kentucky are on alert for possible tornadoes. Damaging wind gusts and hail storms are expected to last throughout the evening. NTSB investigators are still on the scene of that deadly New York City helicopter crash, as more are raising questions about the safety of air tours. Erin McLaughlin has more.
Tonight on New York's Hudson River, divers scour the riverbed for the helicopter's rotor, which separated from the chopper during the crash. A critical clue as to why the 21-year-old tourist helicopter went down, seemingly without warning, killing everyone on board, including the pilot and a family of 5 here on a birthday trip from Spain.
They left without suffering, and they left with a smile on their faces. And that's important for us.
Late Sunday, the FAA announced the company involved, New York Helicopter Tours, shut down their operations. Their license and safety record under review, the FAA says. The shutdown amidst growing calls for greater industry scrutiny as helicopter tours continued today over New York City. The NTSB told NBC News in the past 30 years they've investigated more than 100 air tour accidents nationwide.
For flights, there's a higher level of safety than for these tours. That's got to change.
Prior to the shutdown announcement, New York Helicopter Tours released a statement, writing they are profoundly saddened by the devastating crash, adding they are fully cooperating with the FAA and NTSB investigations. Meanwhile, investigators are at the site of a twin-engine plane crash in upstate New York. All 6 on board died, including 2022 NCAA Woman of the Year Corinna Groff, her family, and her boyfriend James Santoro.
We want to make sure we're investigating every possible aspect of this incident.
Today, Santoro's father said they were on their way to celebrate Groff's 25th birthday.
You know, they were exceptional individuals because of who they were and how they treated others.
Investigators say there was no flight data recorder on board that helicopter. Part of the reason why it's so important they find the missing rotor. Lester.
Erin McLaughlin, thank you. In 60 seconds, the new warning about counterfeit Ozempic. Hundreds of units of the drug seized in the U.S. following reports it could pose a safety risk. What to check if you're using it next. Tonight, the FDA is warning patients about fake Ozempic drugs, which could pose a safety risk. Ann Thompson is here with the very latest. Ann, what are you hearing about the risk?
Well, Lester, the risk involves these fake versions of Ozempic, the popular diabetes drug. The FDA says it has seized several hundred units, specifically of 1 milligram injections. Now, the counterfeit products have both the lot number PAR 0362 and a serial number that starts with 517-46517. The FDA says these fakes are being sold outside the authorized supply chain of Ozempic's maker, Novo Nordisk. The suspicion is they got into the market via unauthorized distributors or resellers. The FDA reminds consumers to only get Ozempic with a valid prescription through state licensed pharmacies. But if you've got it, check those labels.
Okay, Ann, thank you very much. When we come back, first-time home buyers are now older than ever before. How soaring house prices are pushing the American dream further out of reach, and what to do if you're hoping to buy in our series, Priced Out. Next. The dream of home ownership is becoming increasingly elusive as the age of first-time home buyers is now at a record high. Younger Americans are simply getting priced out. Christine Romans explains.
Ready to see the house?
Yeah. At the age of 37, Hanmi Lee is in the market now to buy her first home. She's in the suburbs of Philadelphia with her husband David and their 7-year-old daughter Luna. Their homeownership dreams delayed.
Did you ever think you guys would be in your 30s and still renting?
I definitely took my time to think about buying a house, and then now I'm just regretting waiting.
For younger Americans, home ownership is increasingly out of reach. In the 1980s, the median age of first-time homebuyers was 29. By 2023, 35, and last year spiking to 38 years old. The door closed to many by high prices, low inventory, and mortgage rates hovering around 7%.
No one in their young 20s are buying homes.
Real estate agent Ricky Voong says conditions are the toughest he's ever seen. Last month, the median monthly payment for homeowners hit an all-time high of $2,800. Roughly 70% of American households can't afford a $400,000 home. The national median sales price, almost $420,000.
So over here is our dining area, but it's limited. We're limited on space.
Hanmi, who works in insurance, and David, a police officer, have outgrown the 2-bedroom townhome they currently rent. They'd also like a backyard for their dog, Tank, and more space for another child.
And what if it's not a girl? With the age gap, too, they would want their own rooms.
They've been searching for 2 years now.
When they said, oh, just give it a couple months, the market's going to change, this and that, but it's just...
It hasn't.
It hasn't changed for the better.
Homes in their daughter Luna's school district are in high demand.
The competition makes it hard, makes it difficult, for sure.
Bidding wars driving prices in their area sky high. That house they were touring previously sold in 2019 for $209,000. The price today?
This is listed at almost a $500,000 house.
Out of the price range for Hanmi and David. Their dream of homeownership delayed but not diminished, and Luna already in architect mode.
I think I want like this bed that has a slide and a ladder and like a playroom under it.
Get right on that, Dad.
Yeah.
Christine Romans, NBC News, Lansdale, Pennsylvania.
All right, when we come back, the good news, we'll speak to one of the history-making women who went into space today with a star-studded crew. More on their zero-G journey and what they brought into space next. Finally, the good news tonight and the history made in Texas, where for the first time in more than 60 years, a star-studded group of female astronauts reached space. Our Priscilla Thompson was there.
1. Blasting off for 11 unforgettable minutes. The first all-female space crew in more than 60 years.
1, 2, 3, take us space!
Including pop star Katy Perry and journalist Gayle King, along with Lauren Sanchez, the fiancé of Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos.
Look at the moon. Look.
The historic six marveling at the moon and the Earth.
And you look at it and you're like, we're all in this together.
While floating for 4 minutes, Katy Perry weightless with a daisy in hand, her daughter's namesake. New Shepard's booster rocket landing first.
Picture perfect landing, right?
This reusable booster that took them up now safely back on the ground, the massive rocket ready for its next mission amid the space tourism boom. Then, in front of a star-studded crowd, the astronauts all smiles back on Earth.
It's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging.
Amanda Nguyen, emotional after becoming the first Vietnamese woman in space. She's a survivor of sexual assault, carrying aboard a painful reminder.
And it's the hospital van from the day.
For anyone who's ever had to struggle through life circumstances that weren't their choice, I want you to know that you will make it through.
And those magical moments on board, the start of a shared space sisterhood, celebrated amongst the stars. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, Van Horn, Texas.
That's amazing.
And that is Nightly News for this Monday. Thank you for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
The sporty perception. There it is.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.